welcome to Criminalist Behavior Podcast. This is the Patreon episode, and I just really want to give you a shout out right quick. Thank you so much for being a patron. We do have three different packages for patrons in case you were unaware. You could go to patreon.com and you can look up Criminalist Behavior Podcast, and it'll show you everything right there. Or you could visit our website at criminalistbehavior-louisianatruecrimepodcast.com. And on there, you can literally click and it could take you at the bottom of the page. It'll show you the different packages the pod has to offer as far as the Patreons. The Couillons, which is also known as a crazy person in French. This is the free package for the Patreons, and this package includes the first to know about events and a recognition as a shout out in each episode of the show. Line Yoppers is our middle package, and this is the first paying package, and it's rated at $4.99 per month. You have everything in the Couillons, but you also have early access to new podcast episodes, as well as access to premium bonus podcast episodes. And finally, last but not least, we have our Go-Getters. This is $9.99 per month. And again, you get everything in Line Yoppers and Couillons, but you also get a monthly virtual meet and greet with me and any other members that may join our show. And you also have access to premium bonus video interviews with the guests that attend. And you can also vote on future podcast episodes or topics. There's also description or listener shout out on the pod whenever you first join. So, in case you don't know anything about the podcasting world, let me just let you know, Podfest just happened. This was between January 16th and January 19th, 2025. This was at SeaWorld in Orlando, Florida. So, yeah, if you did not attend that, this does happen every year. And this year was the 11th consecutive year that they hosted the podcast. And pretty much it's all the podcasters getting together and pretty much giving cases, you know. You could also get merch and stuff for each podcast. So yeah, I'm looking to attend Podfest next year. I didn't get to do it this year, but I'm attending it next year. And also, we got the iHeartRadio Awards. They already voted on those, but yeah, there's some little news for January. We're just waiting on the winners for the iHeartRadio Awards. And in case you haven't heard, we did launch our merch. So check out that. It is on our website. It's literally, I would say in the middle of our website page, but literally if you have Meet the Creator Owner, and then on the bottom right of my picture, it says support the pod and grab your merchandise here. You click that and it'll bring us to the page. And y'all just check out the merch. I am also working on trying to create my own merch. And y'all, I just gotta learn how to do this cricket thing or circuit thing, whatever it's called. I'm trying, but y'all bear with me. But we do have merch, and I plan on making personal merch as well. And in the future, I plan on actually giving those out to my Patreon, so y'all look forward to that. So yeah, again, thank you so much for supporting the show. And today's case is, quite frankly, very disturbing, as all cases I do tell are. But it's called Baby Under the Bed, a hidden secret reveal. Now, I'm going to go ahead with my whole trigger warning. This episode may contain content of a graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against adults, children, and animals. Listener discretion is advised. Today is Patreon episode number 1. If this is your first time listening, hi, my name is Sarah Sidier, and I'm your host for Criminalist Behavior Podcast. I really want to thank you for listening to the show and supporting us, and I hope you enjoy it. So, a mother in England has received a sentence for concealing her infant daughter in a drawer, you know, like a dresser drawer. Yeah, a drawer beneath a bed for the initial 3 years of the child's life. Yeah. Take a step back and just think about what I just said. This child was 3 years old. Three. Living in a dresser drawer underneath her mother's bed. I can't even picture a 3-year-old just staying still in one place, more or less underneath a bed in a dresser drawer. Huh? So, on Tuesday, November 26th, 2019, the unnamed woman, because, y'all, they kept this woman's name hidden to protect her identity. Why? Beyond. Beyond me, I don't understand it, and I look high and low. But I hope I figure it out. And if I do, I will do an update on that case, okay? But she was sentenced to 7 years and 6 months at Chester Crown Court in Northern England. And according to statements released by the Cheshire Constabulary and the Crown Prosecution Service, which is also known as CPS, this ruling followed the mother's guilty plea to 4 counts of child cruelty during a hearing. Authorities have identified the child as a baby girl, the one that was, 3 years old in that dresser drawer. Yeah. Noted that she was fed only by syringe. Now, in case you don't know what a syringe is, which, oh my God, you should. But you know those little things that have a little rubber stopper on it and you can pull it back? It's mostly for like liquid medicine. You can pull it back and then like it'll withdraw the medicine out of the bottle. Yeah, that's a syringe, right? So she was feeding this child, again, all the way up until her 3rd birthday and beyond, through a syringe. Okay? So, authorities have identified that this child was a baby girl and she was left alone for hours on end while being kept away from her other family members and friends of the family. The charges pertain to the offenses that took place between March 18, 2020 and February 18, 2023. The child was found concealed in a bedroom at a residence in Cheshire in February 2023 and was promptly placed into care of CPS. Following the investigations, it was revealed that the child was born in March of 2020 but had remained undisclosed and unregistered with any of those states. So, like, this child did not have a name. This child did not have a birth certificate, a social security card, wasn't part of the census. There was no record of this child even existing. You catch my drift? So, the child had largely been confined to a bedroom at the residence, even resorting to sleeping in a drawer beneath the bed. Due to the woman's actions, the child really suffered from severe developmental delays, malnutrition, and several untreated medical conditions. The CPS, Crown Prosecution Service, was responsible for public prosecutions in England and Wales, indicated that the baby girl was discovered after the mother's partner, who typically was not permitted upstairs alone, heard a sound of an infant upon returning home to use the restroom. So, this woman's partner, aka lover, boyfriend, whatever you have, did not even know this child existed. Okay? How? I don't know. Was this baby just quiet this entire time while I can't, it's beyond me. So, the court was informed that when the woman's partner began to stay overnight, she actually relocated the child to a different room, leaving her alone by herself. Eventually, the partner discovered a child when he returned to the house to use the bathroom. And after he heard a noise from one of the bedrooms, he actually decided to go look to see what that noise was. He notified family members, and later that day, social services arrived at the residence, where they found the baby girl in the drawer underneath the bed. When questioned, the mother displayed no emotion and seemed indifferent. And as stated by the social worker in court, this is how she reacted all the time. The social worker expressed a profound sense of horror, realizing that she might have been the only other person the child has seen besides her mother. Take that in, y'all. 3 years of this baby girl's life, and the only person it has ever seen was its mother. The only person that has ever seen since it was born was its mother, who obviously did not want her and kept her from everything. And it gets better, y'all. It gets better. And when I say better, I mean complete sarcasm. It's not fucking better by any means. But in a police interview, the woman claimed she was unaware of her pregnancy and felt really scared during the birth. She asserted that the drawer was never fully closed and that the baby was not confined there at all times. But she emphasized that the child was not part of the family. How horrible is that? A child, 3 years old at this time that this was found, was not part of the family. That poor, innocent baby, y'all. A statement presented to the court by the child's foster care indicated that it was evident the child did not recognize her own name when they called for her. Defense attorney Matthew Dunford argued that the woman's mental health issues, her tumultuous relationship with the child's abusive father, and the impact of COVID lockdown had culminated in an exceptional set of circumstances. The what? Exceptional set of circumstances? Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. At the very least, a special set of circumstances. This bitch is insane. Obviously, she has some mental issues going on. You want to blame COVID for that? Hell no. He also stated that the other children, because guess what, y'all? This 3-year-old baby girl stuffed underneath the bed in this drawer was not her only child. It was not her only child. They had other children in the home who was actually well cared for. But those children actually got taken away from the mother as well whenever CPS was notified of this baby living in a drawer underneath her bed. Which, hell yeah, they were. They should be. So, whenever the husband followed the noise and found the nearly 3-year-old child with a cleft palate, unkempt hair, and evident signs of malnutrition as detailed in a CPS statement, the mother informed the authorities that she had been in an abusive relationship with the child's father and she chose not to disclose her pregnancy to him. Okay. It's one thing not to let this piece of... Okay. It's one thing not to let this person, aka the father of your child, not know about the child. But what about the other children? Right? What about the child's health condition because she was severely malnourished? She had a cleft palate, unkempt hair, meaning you didn't care for the child, didn't have a bath, didn't brush her hair. None of this. None of this. Upon examination by medical professionals, this baby girl was found to be unable to crawl, walk, speak, or produce any communicative sound. Now, if you know any 3-year-old, they're all but why? But why? Always asking questions because they're eager to learn, and that's how they learn is by asking questions. And they're very noisy, always on the go. Terrible twos, no terrible threes, right? Yeah. But this baby couldn't even crawl at 3 years old, couldn't walk, couldn't speak, or have any other type of communicative sounds. She exhibited repetitive self-soothing behaviors like rocking. The report further indicated that she was severely malnourished, unkempt, and severely dehydrated. The report further indicated that she was just presented with an untreated cleft lip and palate, a swollen abdomen, significant diaper rash, and poor muscle tone. Bruh, this just hurts my heartstrings. Oh my god, it's just pulling them. I can't. This poor baby had to deal with just being treated like this. diaper rash could hurt. And I'm sure because this baby just was not even known about, that she was bad off. Oh, I can't. The child also displayed hypotonia in her limbs, swollen feet positioned abnormally, and redness on her extremities. So at approximately 35 months of age, her developmental milestones were significantly delayed. And they compared her, even though she was 35 months of age, aka 3 years old, she was compared to a 10-month-old infant. Y'all. What? A 10-month-old infant at 3 years old. No. So, in case you didn't know what hypotonia was, it refers to a reduction in muscle tone. This condition can exist independently, known as benign congenital hypotonia, or it may signal an underlying issue characterized by progressive decline in muscle tone, such as muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy, and it's actually identified during infancy. But this child never even saw a doctor, so it was never, one, indicated, two, never actually able to take cautions on it developing or becoming worse, right? So when an infant is diagnosed with hypotonia, they may display a limp or ragdoll appearance. So if you know what a ragdoll is, like, you know, those little cloth dolls and stuff, like they just move and then like they're just floppy all over. Yeah, this is how this baby girl was. And it is said that infants that suffer from hypotonia experience delays in achieving specific fine and gross motor skills, which are essential for actions such as lifting their head while they lying on their stomach, maintaining their balance, or sitting upright without falling down. There is also an increased risk of dislocations in the hips, jaw, and neck. Additionally, some children with hypotonia may encounter difficulties whenever they're eating, particularly if they struggle to suck or chew for extended periods of time. Speech challenges and shallow breathing may also be observed in a child with this condition. Yeah. Did y'all hear that last part of that sentence? Shallow breathing. So this condition she had made her breathe shallow. Taking the effect, she stuffed in a a dresser drawer underneath the bed. Clearly, not enough air circulating, right? So this baby was struggling every single day of its life to already breathe with her condition on top of pretty much being smothered underneath the bed. This is just... The following are typical symptoms associated with hypotonia. It is important to note that each child may exhibit symptoms in a unique manner, but the symptoms can also differ based on underlying causes of the condition. So they have reduced muscle tone, resulting in muscles that feel soft and pliable, the ability to extend limbs beyond their usual range, difficulty in achieving motor-related developmental milestones such as maintaining head control without assistance, rolling over, sitting independently, and walking, challenges with feeding, including prolonged difficulties in sucking or chewing, shallow breathing patterns, an open mouth with the tongue protruding, indicating an underactive gag reflex, and certain forms of hypotonia are non-progressive and of unknown origin, referred to as being benign congenital hypotonia. The child's central nervous system function and intelligence typically remain intact. Those with benign congenital hypotonia may also not face any type of developmental delays. However, some children, and in the case of 3-year-old baby girl here, it may take longer to develop gross motor skills and sitting, walking, running, and jumping. And the signs of hypotonia can be also similar to those other conditions. It may arise from numerous underlying conditions, particularly those affecting the central nervous system, muscular disorders, genetic anomalies, among the prevalent causes are but are not restricted to the following. So these are different illnesses that can be the cause of hypotonia. Down syndrome, muscular dystrophy, cerebral palsy, Prader-Willi syndrome, myotonic dystrophy, Marfan syndrome, and Tay-Sachs disease. So, I know most people heard of muscular dystrophy, Down syndrome, and cerebral palsy. You know that, people's limbs and all are not functioning properly. This child was like that, y'all. I feel so freaking horrible for this child. The physician responsible for the child's care will actually have to gather a comprehensive medical history pertaining both to the family and this child. Additionally, physical examinations should be conducted, which it is expected to encompass a thorough assessment of muscle function and neurological evaluation. So the neurological assessment is also referred to as a neuro exam, and this is done by various means. It can include lights, reflex hammers, and it's relatively painless for a child. It's really nothing that's going to hurt the child when getting this testing done. They also evaluate the motor and sensory abilities. They assess balance and coordination. They examine the mental status of the child, seeing if the child is aware and engaged with their surroundings. They test their reflex and their nerve functions. And depending on the suspicions of your child's position, the following diagnostic tests may employ to identify the underlying cause of your child's muscle weakness. So they use an MRI, and that utilizes a combination of the powerful magnets, radio waves, and computer technology to generate detailed images. And it actually is performed to exclude any potential abnormalities related to the spinal cord and the nerves. They do a CT scan or CAT scan, and that combines X-rays with computer processing to create cross-sectional images. And it pretty much splits the body horizontally and vertically in different planes, and it provides intricate details on various body parts, including the bones, muscle, fat, and organs. And it offers a more comprehensive exam than standard x-rays, right? They can also do blood tests, and they could be conducted to assess different health parameters. They could do an EMG or electromyogram, and that evaluates the functionality of nerves and muscles. The EEG, which is electroencephalogram, that test could be performed to get the brain's electrical activity known as brain waves, and that is done like by. Okay, so if you had an EKG or a heart monitor or anything, you ever seen that done? It's pretty much like the same thing, but it's on your head and the smaller electrodes that they put all over your head, and it looks crazy after they apply all of the electrodes because wires are coming from your head and they put a sock on it, and they just measure your brain waves. They could do a spinal tap, which is also known as a lumbar puncture, and that measures the pressure within the spinal canal. And they could also take cerebral spinal fluid for analysis. And that cerebral spinal fluid, CSF, is the fluid that surrounds and protects your child's brain and the spinal cord, right? So overall, to diagnose hypotonia, this all tests that can be done. There's no specific therapy necessary for benign congenital hypotonia. Children experiencing that condition may require intermittent treatment for common issues associated with the hypotonia, which can be frequent joint dislocations. So I'm not sure if you're familiar, and I might be showing my age here, but that movie Unbreakable, it stars Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, I think. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson. But basically, that movie, Bruce Willis, he never got sick a day in his life. He never broke a bone, nothing, right? However, on the flip side of that, you got Samuel L. Jackson in there, and it's like he's made of glass, right? Whenever he was born with pretty much every bone broken in his body. Like, this is pretty much what it's like. Frequent joint dislocations, okay? That's the best synopsis I can get to compare to this, right? One of the causes of the child's hypotonia, they could have tailored treatment programs to treat this. They aim those type of programs to enhance muscle strength and sensory stimulation. And they typically include physical therapy, which can be provided through early intervention. So if this child would have received this whenever they were born, I am sure it will be in better shape than she is at 3 years old compared to a 10-month-old, right? But there's also therapeutic approaches as well. So, like I was saying, the social worker, who was one of the first responders, testified in court against this unnamed mother, expressed that whenever she seen that child, she was astonished at the sight. She was found sitting in a divan drawer, looking up in a state of distress. I can't imagine how that social worker was feeling when they noticed that child. Y'all, children, I don't even care if I know them, I don't know them. Children are children. You don't mess with a child. And to treat it like this, baby, you should be underneath that jail. So, the social worker stated to the mother the following: "Is this where you keep her?" The mother responded in a straightforward manner, "Yes, in the drawer." So the social worker said she was taken aback by the mother's lack of emotion as she seemed indifferent to the gravity of the situation. And when the social worker asked the mother if anyone else has ever seen the child, the mother replied the following statement, y'all. "Matter of factly, yes, in the drawer." So the social worker said it struck her with profound horror that she might be the only other person besides the mother that the child has ever seen. So basically, in case you confused, the mother said no one else has ever seen the child. No one else. So the social worker says, having worked as a social worker since 2006, I have never encountered such a severe incident of overt child neglect and cruelty. The mother's complete absence of remorse or emotion was particularly difficult for me to understand. The court was informed that the mother had successfully hidden the existence of her baby from her other children by concealing her in a drawer of her divan bed. This cruel secret was kept even from her partner, who often stayed overnight. The woman, whose identity has been withheld to protect her children's privacy, pleaded guilty to the charges of child cruelty. In delivering the sentence, Honorary Recorder Chester Judge Stephen Everett stated the following: "What you did is beyond belief." He also continued, "You deprived that little girl of love, proper affection, attention, social interaction, a suitable diet, and essential medical care. You tried to manage this situation as best as you could, but by mere chance, your horrific secret was uncovered. The repercussions for the child were none other than catastrophic, physically, psychologically, and socially." So, the social worker described the child as a bright little girl who is now gradually emerging from what was nearly a state of living death in that room. The court was informed that the woman failed to seek medical care for the child's cleft palate and did not provide her with sufficient food and water, opting instead to feed her milky Weetabix using a syringe. So that's pretty much like a rice cereal, right? Sion at Mahongal, the prosecutor, stated the following: "She was confined to a drawer in the bedroom, not taken outdoors, not socialized, and had no interaction with anyone else." He further explained to the court that when the child was first admitted to the hospital, her developmental age was assessed to be between 0 and 10 months, and she was found to be severely malnourished and dehydrated. Mr. Atmahangle noted that the infant was left unattended while her mother took her other children to school, went to work, and stayed with relatives during the Christmas period. This child was left alone in that home with no one to take care of it or feed it for days on end when this woman decided to stay with relatives. This bitch needs the same treatment, if you ask me. The court was informed that when the mother's boyfriend began to stay overnight at the residence, the child was relocated to another room and left there alone. The young girl was discovered when the partner returned to the house one morning to use the restroom after the mother left the home. Two police officers presented during the proceedings were visibly emotional As a statement from the child's foster care, uh, why can't I think of that word? The foster care guardians, um, which the judge characterized as truly devastating. The guardians from foster care stated the following. It became very clear that she did not recognize her own name when we addressed her. In her interview with the police, the woman expressed that she was unaware of her pregnancy and felt really scared at the time of giving birth. She clarified that the baby was not kept in a drawer beneath the bed at all times, and also noted that the drawer was never closed. Yet she conveyed to officers that the child was not part of the family. Let me stop. Let me stop right here, right quick. Because, honey, you gonna sit here and tell me that drawer was not closed? I call bullshit. I call bullshit on every freaking degree. Because if that drawer was not closed, somebody else would have seen that baby. Your partner, the one that you say is like abusive and shit. Yeah, he would have noticed that baby if that drawer wasn't closed. Lie to someone else, baby, because you're not lying to me. This is complete and utter bullshit. So Matthew Dunford stated that there existed an extraordinary set of circumstances, right? And they was trying to address that the woman had mental health issues and a tumultuous relationship with the child's father. The defendant, visibly emotional, used a tissue to dry his tears while he recounted how her other children, whom she was reportedly caring for adequately, were no longer residing in the home. Apparently, this woman was unfamiliar with, not the woman. Lord, just makes me so angry. I'm getting tripped up on my words, y'all. The baby was unfamiliar with daylight, fresh air, and she just didn't react like a normal 3-year-old. And according to a spokesperson at CPS, they said the following statements. The reasons for the mother's action remain ambiguous. However, it is not within the purview of the Crown Prosecution Service to determine this. Our responsibility is to ensure that the individual accountable is held to justice. This objective has now been achieved, and the CPS sincerely hopes that the victim in this case will recover adequately to lead to a fulfilling a life as possible in a normalist degree. Detective Constable Rachel D. Nicola remarked the following statement. What this child has endured in her brief life is simply unfathomable. It is beyond comprehension how anyone could permit a child to suffer in such a manner. Senior Crown Prosecutor Rachel Worthington from CPS stated the following. This child has endured severe neglect regarding her health, development, and fundamental care needs since prior to her birth. So there was no prenatal care when the mother was pregnant for her. There was no care up until after CPS discovered this child, whenever it was reported to them. This child has never received a birthday gift, a Christmas gift, or any acknowledgement of these significant occasions. She has no interaction with any of her siblings. And Worthington also noted she had not experienced daylight or fresh air and did not respond to even knowing her name. A social worker engaged in the case characterized the circumstances as overwhelming horror. And hell yes, baby, this is overwhelming horror. Since the beginning of this social worker's career, she never encountered such severe incidents of neglect and cruelty. CPS reported that the child has been making great progress and has undergone 2 surgeries to address her cleft palate, but she still requires additional surgical intervention. If you suspect child abuse, call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4-A-CHILD or 1-800-422-4453. You can also go to the website, that is www.childhelp.org. All calls are toll-free and confidential. The hotline is available 24/7 in more than 170 languages. I'm speechless, and that never happened. I really, really hope this baby girl lives a prosperous life, knows what it's like to be loved, that they find a family that will give them birthday gifts, give them Christmas gifts, and love them unconditionally like their own. This child should not have suffered this much horror in his 3 years of existence. I feel so bad for this child. And this mother, this mother, y'all heard what I said, right? This mother only got bare minimum punishment. Bare minimum. And kept saying this child is not part of the family. What? Just be gone. Just be gone. And y'all, I want to thank y'all for supporting the show. Again, thank you for being a patron. And if you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us, y'all. Check us out on iTunes, rate and reviews right there. You can also comment on any of your podcast apps. And shoot us an email like criminalbehaviorpodcast@gmail.com. Or, you know what? We got some links on the website you can check out. Criminalist Behavior Louisiana True Crime Podcast.com. And yeah, check it all out. And look at our merch. So be sure to come back next week. Oh, by the way, I wanted to let y'all know, today is Friday, but I will be getting all Patreon episodes posted on Sundays. And today y'all just getting a bonus. So Sunday I'll be posting another one. And that one is going to be Betty Lou Beats, you know, the nation's known Black Widow. So thank you for being a Patreon. Until then, this is your host, Sarah City. And tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone about the podcast. And it really helps the show, y'all. And if you want to become a guest, guess what? I would love to have you. If you have a case suggestion, send it to me. Would love to do it. And yeah, thank y'all. And I really hope you have a great day. Bye.